Hi, so this is a Zoom training video for parents and students of all ages. It's going to cover kind of the basics of what you can do in Zoom on your end and maybe some troubleshooting of some issues and some little tips and tricks on how to make things work a little bit better for you. So here's what Zoom looks like. This looks a little different on yours, but it's mostly the same. And we'll just kind of work through it right from left to right. So down here in the bottom corner is the mute button. You can click and press that to mute yourself. You have a video button that you can turn on and off as well. Those are pretty basic and straightforward. Next, you probably don't have the security button, but you have one that's called participants down at the bottom. When you click on participants, it brings up a list of participants, and you can see over here is my list. There's me and Scooby-Doo are in here. With the participant window, you have down at the bottom some nonverbal feedback that students can use. The very first one you'll have says hand raise, and you can raise your hand. It alerts the teacher on this screen that they have a question. So use that hand raise feature when you have a question. You also have yes and no, go slower, go faster, and under the more section, you have thumbs up, thumbs down, clapping your hands, taking a break, which is you need a break, coffee cup, and that you're currently away. So these are some nonverbal things that you can use as a student during a Zoom call to communicate with your teacher without interrupting class. Okay. So those are the nonverbals. Now, the participant window itself, if you come up here to this little tiny triangle up here or down arrow, you click on that and you can pop out this window. Okay, we'll try that again. So you come up here to this little down arrow, you click on it and you click pop out. You can click close. If you do that, it just closes it. To get it back, you click on participants down at the bottom. Click on this arrow, click pop out. Now you can move this window around. If you happen to have two computer screens, you can drag it off the screen to the side. You can make it big, you can make it small, whatever you want to do with this pop out situation. Okay, and you close it, open it back up. It's still in the pop out mode. If I want to unpop out, put it back to where it was, I press this diagonal arrow and it puts it back. Next, the next button on your list down at the bottom should be chat. Just like participants, it brings up a new window. Let's put participants away. Here's chat. So you can see chat over here on the side. This is just for text messaging during class. You can chat with everyone down here where it says to. You can do everyone, or you'll be able to chat with the host or the teachers. Most students are not allowed to chat directly if the teacher has it set up directly with each other. They can only chat with everyone, or they can chat with just the teacher. Okay, I as the teacher can chat with individual students, so I can talk to Scooby-Doo if I wanted to. I would click on Scooby-Doo and I would say hi. If I want to go back to everyone, I click here, I go back up to everyone, and I can send messages to hi everyone. There's a little 3 dots down here on the bottom. Click on that, and well, actually, I guess maybe you guys don't have those 3 dots. You might have a couple of options that you can do. I can turn the chats on and off, but you guys would not be able to do that. This chat also has a pop-out feature. So up at the top where that little down arrow is, I can close it or I can hit pop out. And again, I can now move the chat to wherever I want on my screen. If I don't want it, I can either hit the diagonal arrow to put it back where it was, or I can hit the X. Click on the word chat down here and it goes away. So I can have participants open, I can have chat open. So now I can see both. I can pop them out or not. Next, the next button is share. Most students won't be sharing their screen, but there might be an occasion where a teacher asks a student to share a screen. If that's the case, you would click down here on share and then a little screen will open up that says, what do you want to share, your desktop or your screen, and you can follow those instructions. But again, most teachers probably aren't having students share their screen. And that's going to be it for your buttons down on the bottom. You should just have participants, chat, and share. There's some other buttons that might show up, like breakout rooms, and we'll show you that in a few minutes. But the next thing I want to show you is gallery view versus speaker view. And I'm not sure if I can show that to you while I'm sharing my screen. You're looking at gallery view right now, so you'll have whatever's on my screen plus these people across the top. I haven't found a good way to show you the differences, but speaker view shows the speaker, a big picture of the teacher, whereas gallery view shows little pictures of all the kids in class. And so when you're teaching or when you're in class, it's probably best to be on speaker view so you can see a big picture of the teacher, and then you'll see little pictures of students. And that's going to be up here at the top. There'll be a little button that says speaker view. You click on it, it goes into speaker view. Then it'll say what's the other one? Gallery view, and it'll have you in gallery view. And then pinning. So you can also pin specific people. There's a little pin on the person. Again, I'm sorry, it's not showing on here. You can press the little pin button and it sticks their video onto your main screen for the duration of the video. Okay, full screen. So some students have trouble that when they open up Zoom, it's in the full screen and they can't find anything else on their computer. So come over to the very top corner where there's a square. You can click on that and it will put you into or out of full screen. So I'm now in full screen mode. If I want to exit full screen, I click exit full screen. Okay, you can minimize it as well, pressing this little dash mark, and then it kind of hides it from you. And if you can't find it anymore, you're not sure where Zoom is, just click down here on the Zoom icon and then click on Zoom, and it should pull the Zoom right back up. Okay, next, splitting your screen. This is a big one that a lot of people have wanted to know how to do. So you got a Zoom call going on and you want to look at your Google Classroom or whatever it is that your teacher's teaching from. You want to see multiple screens at the same time. There's a couple of simple tricks that we can do. Number one, and probably the best and easiest, is to press the Alt button, hold that down, and then press the bracket button, the left bracket or the right bracket, and it'll move your screen back and forth depending on which bracket you press, and that's the square bracket. So holding down the Alt button, pressing the bracket buttons left and right moves it, makes it bigger, smaller. So I've got a half screen here. I can click on my Google Classroom and press the bracket button, Alt, hold down the Alt key and then press bracket, makes it half, and there we go. Now I've got half Zoom and half class. Okay. Another simple way to do this is to hold down the Alt key again and press Tab. And when you do that, it brings up all the things that you currently have open. So let's say you don't like the half screen, you want to be in full screen. By pressing Alt Tab and holding the Alt key down, you can jump back and forth between them. So here's a full screen of my class. I press Alt Tab, it brings me back to Zoom. Here's a full screen of Zoom. I press Alt Tab and I go back to my class. So I could be here in Zoom and then I can switch back and forth to my class by pressing Alt and then Tab. Okay, so you have Alt Tab for full screen, and if you don't like the full screen, you want to do a split screen, you need to exit the full screens first, hit Alt bracket, and now you have two split screens. Last but not least, hopefully, well, actually it's not last, it's almost last, changing your names. So some people have wanted to change their names, and that's not actually something that most teachers will allow you to do. But if you have the capability, you can come to your name and you can rename yourself. You might have to click on more and then you can rename. I can rename my students. So if my student is struggling to change their name, the teacher can rename them. But generally, you're not supposed to change your names. And the only way to do it would be to close Zoom, get out of the meeting, come back into Zoom, and pick the correct name, type in the correct username when you're signing into the Zoom class to begin with. Again, as a teacher, I'm not going to let Scooby-Doo come into my classroom when I know they're not a student in here. I might let them in and ask them to change their name, which means they have to log out, log back in, and type in something that is not Scooby-Doo. If they're struggling and they don't know how to do it, then I can come in here and the teacher can rename them. Some teachers might have it set up that you're allowed to change your name, so you might be able to do that. I can change your name to Steve. So the last thing is breakout rooms. So when a teacher creates breakout rooms, I'm going to have one room with one participant per room. You'll get a little notification that says, hey, these breakout rooms are open and you've been asked to join. So Steve has joined this breakout room. He's now no longer in my Zoom call, the main session. He's in his own breakout room. I can then join his breakout room and ask questions, see how things are going, and I can jump as the teacher back and forth. The student, however, needs to stay in that breakout room until the teacher has closed the rooms. Once I've closed the rooms, they have 1 minute to return. At any point during the breakout room session, and you'll see breakout room down here on your thing once it's open. At any point during that breakout room session, you can raise your hand. Essentially, there's a button that says ask for help, and the teacher will get a notification that they are needed. So there's a ask for help button. You can also leave the room most of the time, depending on how the teacher has it set up. They can leave the room and come back to the main session, or they just stay there until the teacher has talked to them. The teacher can also send a message to everyone, hello, and you'll see it pop up on the top of your screen that there was a message from the teacher. Okay, so then I'm going to close this room, and now you can see there's a 60-second countdown. Steve should be rejoining my class. He can rejoin right away, or he can wait for the 60 seconds and it will automatically bring him back. Again, breakout rooms, if you got kicked out of your breakout room, then you can always just come in here and click on breakout rooms, and it'll take you right back to the same breakout room that you were already in. So if you get logged out, log back in as fast as you can. And if it doesn't let you go back to the same breakout room, then the teacher will assign you to a new room. Okay, last thing that I want to talk about is troubleshooting some common errors. So there are some issues with Chromebooks and/or technology in general, and sometimes things just don't work perfectly. Sometimes you get a black screen. You can't see anything. You can't hear anything. You're trying to talk, but nobody can hear you. One, make sure that you've got your video on. Make sure that you've unmuted yourself. If you've tried all of those things and nothing is working, then the first thing you should try is logging out of Zoom and then coming back in and see if that's fixed it. If that still doesn't fix the issue, then you probably should just reboot your computer by powering it down and then turning it back on. And that'll take a few minutes. If you have access to the chat, you can try sending a message. Hey teacher, I'm rebooting. We'll be back. Right, so now the teacher knows what's happening, that you've logged out, you're gonna come back in. It might take you a few minutes to power cycle your computer. If you're still having issues after power cycling your computer, logging out of Zoom and back in, then you probably have a tech issue that we can't solve at this point. So you probably need to call your school or the district office and see what the process is for fixing your computer. So that should be it for today's lesson. Hopefully that's clear enough.